I had a patient last year, Margaret, 72 years old. She came to my clinic with a laundry list of complaints: bloating, brain fog, joint pain, and a feeling that her body was just falling apart. She had seen 3 different specialists, gone through endless tests, and was told it was just aging. But Margaret didn't accept that. She came to me because I treat the whole person, not just symptoms. I asked about her diet, her sleep, her stress. And then I asked about something most doctors skip: what she drinks every single day. She told me she loves her afternoon tea, and she's been drinking the same brand for years. That's when I knew her tea bags were poisoning her. Because every single tea bag releases up to 11 billion plastic particles into your cup. Yes, billion with a B. And those particles are destroying your gut, your immune system, and your ability to age well. This isn't a fringe theory. This is peer-reviewed science from McGill University, published in the Journal of Environmental Science and Technology. And I'm going to show you exactly what's happening and what you can do about it. Stay with me. Let me paint a picture of what's going on inside your gut, because understanding the enemy is the first step to defeating it. Our digestive tract is lined with a delicate layer of cells that normally allow nutrients to pass through while keeping toxins out. But nanoplastics are so small, less than 100 nanometers, that they can slip right through that barrier like a key that fits every lock. Once they're inside, they trigger an immune response. Your body sees these foreign particles and attacks them. But because they're synthetic, they don't break down. So you get chronic, low-grade inflammation, the kind that silently accelerates every age-related disease. You get intestinal permeability, that's leaky gut, where larger food particles and bacteria start leaking into your bloodstream. And you get dysbiosis, an imbalance in your gut microbiome, because plastic particles directly kill beneficial bacteria while feeding harmful ones. I see this pattern in patients as young as 50 and as old as 90. It's not about how old you are. It's about how much plastic you've been exposed to. And the most common source they never suspect is their daily tea ritual. Now, I want to tell you about another patient, Harry, 68, a retired postal worker. He came to me with horrible acid reflux and fatigue. His gastroenterologist put him on a strict diet and 2 different medications, but nothing helped. I asked about his tea habits too. He said he drinks 4 or 5 cups a day with his wife. I told him to switch to loose leaf tea for 2 weeks. He called me 3 weeks later, practically in tears. The reflux was gone, his energy was back, and he had lost 7 pounds without trying. The only change was eliminating the plastic tea bags. This is the kind of success story I've seen hundreds of times in my 28 years of practice. And it's not magic, it's basic biology. Remove the inflammatory trigger and the body can heal. You might wonder how we know the particles are actually coming from the tea bag and not from the water or the tea leaves themselves. In 2019, researchers at McGill University tested 4 different commercial tea bags made from plastic materials like nylon and polyethylene terephthalate, or PET. They steeped them in hot water and analyzed the liquid. The results were stunning. A single plastic tea bag at brewing temperature released about 11.6 billion microplastic and 3.1 billion nanoplastic particles into the water. That's roughly 14 billion particles per cup. Then they exposed these particles to human intestinal cells in the lab. The cells absorbed the nanoplastics, and the particles ended up inside the nucleus of the cells. Think about that. The part of the cell that holds your DNA. This is not just a gut issue. This is a cellular issue with potential implications for cancer, reproductive health, and neurological decline. And the worst part, many people think switching to paper tea bags solves the problem, but most paper tea bags are sealed with a plastic adhesive or contain polypropylene fibers to give them shape. So even the paper ones can leach thousands to millions of particles per cup. It's a silent invasion. So why do these particles affect older adults so much more severely? Because we have a slower turnover of gut lining cells, a less robust immune system, and often a higher cumulative lifetime exposure. Our ability to repair damage declines with each decade. So a 60-year-old who has been drinking 4 cups of plastic-laced tea since age 40 has consumed approximately 17 trillion plastic particles. That's not a typo. Think of the burden that places on your liver, your kidneys, your lymphatic system. Your body has to sequester these particles somewhere, and they end up lodged in tissues, causing oxidative stress and inflammation. I see this manifested as joint stiffness, that morning fog you can't shake, unpredictable digestive issues, and a feeling that your body is running on half power. But when we remove the source, many of these symptoms begin to resolve within 3 to 6 weeks. I've seen it happen with my own patients. It's one of the most reversible changes we can make. Now let's talk about the solution, because I don't want you to live in fear. I want you to live with power. The first step is to audit your tea. Look at the packaging of your tea bags. If they are pyramid-shaped, shiny, or seem to be made of a synthetic fabric, they are almost certainly plastic. Those pyramid bags are often nylon or PET. Regular square tea bags can also contain plastic, especially if they feel like paper but have a slight sheen or a sealed edge that looks melted. That melted edge is usually polypropylene. The safest alternative is loose leaf tea, brewed in a stainless steel or ceramic infuser. If you really prefer the convenience of tea bags, look for brands that explicitly state they are plastic-free and use plant-based fibers like hemp, cotton, or wood pulp with no plastic sealants. Some companies now use a biodegradable cellulose material, but even those can have trace plastics, so the gold standard is loose leaf. And here's a tip I give all my patients. When you brew loose leaf tea, don't use boiling water directly. Let it cool for about 30 seconds to around 175 degrees Fahrenheit. The hotter the water, the more particles leach from any kind of bag. Lower temperature reduces particle release without harming the beneficial tea compounds. I actually use an app with my patients to track their daily tea habits and symptoms, and we see clear improvements within a month. The app is a simple tool that helps people stay consistent, and I'll leave more info about it in the pinned comment. But the real key is awareness and action. Let me give you a proof point from the literature. A 2023 study in Chemosphere compared the microplastic release from tea bags of different materials. The worst offenders were nylon tea bags, releasing up to 5,000 microplastic particles per milliliter of tea, while paper tea bags with plastic sealant released about 10 times less, still significant. But a loose leaf brewing setup with a metal infuser released 0 detectable particles. 0. So the solution is not expensive. A simple infuser costs about $10 and lasts for years. One of my patients, Rosalie, 74, switched to loose leaf and also started adding a tablespoon of lemon juice to her tea because the acidity can help break down any residual plastics that might be present. Plus, vitamin C supports gut healing. Within 3 weeks, her chronic gas and bloating were gone. She told me it felt like she had a new stomach. That's the power of one simple change. You might be thinking, but tea is supposed to be healthy, full of antioxidants. And you're right, it is. Polyphenols in tea reduce inflammation and support cardiovascular health. But you nullify those benefits when you consume them alongside 11 billion plastic particles. The plastic contaminates the experience and turns a health drink into a vector for toxic exposure. It's like taking a vitamin with a side of cigarette smoke. The net effect is negative. So don't stop drinking tea, just change how you brew it. That's the message I want you to take away. Let me deepen the science even further because I think it's fascinating. When nanoplastics enter your gut, they don't just float around. They interact with the gut bacteria, the microbiome. Some bacteria can actually degrade certain types of plastic, but the byproducts of that degradation are often toxic compounds like bisphenol A or BPA, and phthalates, which are endocrine disruptors that interfere with your hormones. This is especially dangerous for aging adults because our hormonal balance is already fragile. Thyroid function, cortisol regulation, sex hormone production all become more sensitive with age. So you're not just harming your gut, you're harming your entire hormonal system. I've seen patients with unexplained weight gain, low libido, and sleep disturbances improve dramatically after reducing plastic exposure. It's not the only factor, but it's an important one. Now, I want to give you 3 practical tips you can implement starting tomorrow. Number 1, Inspect every tea bag you own. Look at the packaging. Search online for the brand's manufacturing process. Many popular brands have admitted to using plastic sealants. If you can't confirm it's plastic-free, assume it's not. Number 2, invest in a good loose leaf infuser. I recommend stainless steel mesh, not silicone, because silicone can also leach particles. And rinse it with hot water before first use. Number 3, change your steeping temperature. Let your water come to a boil and then rest for 30 to 45 seconds before pouring over the tea. This reduces the extraction of any possible contaminants while still releasing the flavor and antioxidants. And as a bonus tip, consider adding a slice of lemon or a splash of apple cider vinegar to your tea. The mild acidity supports your stomach's natural barrier and may help bind some of the remaining particles before they get absorbed. Let me share one more patient story to close the loop. Remember Margaret from the beginning? After our consultation, she switched to organic loose leaf tea from a local shop. She also started drinking it warm lemon water in the morning instead of tea. Within a month, her bloating vanished. Her brain fog lifted, and she told me she felt like she was thinking clearly for the first time in years. Her joint pain decreased by about 60%, and 6 months later, she had lost 18 pounds without any other diet change. She sent me a handwritten thank you note that I keep on my desk. It said, "Dr. Brooks, you didn't just fix my stomach, you gave me my life back." That's what this is all about. The tea industry is massive, and many companies are not interested in changing because plastic tea bags are cheap and durable. But now that you know the truth, you can vote with your wallet. If you feel this information is important, share this video with someone you care about. And if you want to stay ahead of the health curve, subscribe to this channel. I release new videos every week, breaking down the latest research into practical steps you can take to age with strength and independence. And don't forget to check the pinned comment for that app I mentioned. It's a great tool for tracking your progress. Thank you for trusting me with your health. Now go enjoy your tea the right way.